Hello everybody. Well, it comes up time and time again. And it's understandable, because anybody who wants to join the exchange wants to know two things. Basically, how much money can I make and what kind of van do I need? That tends to be the two big ones. The biggest one is how much money can you make on the exchange. Now, I've done plenty of videos breaking down how much money you can take. The problem with this is you've only got my word for it. And then you'll talk to someone else, and you'll talk to someone and go, oh, I'm making £1 million a day. And then you'll talk to someone else, go, the exchange, oh, I ran on it for 2 years and I made tuppence halfpenny. And then you'll ring the exchange themselves. They're going to lie. They're salesmen. They're going to sell you it. They're going to tell you a best case scenario, a super shiny best case scenario, on the best day ever, on the sunniest day ever, with the wind blowing in the right direction, the whole thing. So, I mean, this was all inspired by a guy called, was it Mike Tom 4445, who said, I did a video, how much can you make? When how much? He said, I was expecting to make £300 to £500 a day. So I thought about this. And I thought, there's something I can do to help you here, guys. I can show you how much money you're going to make, but you do the maths. We're going to do it from first principles. So what this is going to involve is, I'm not going to tell you how much money the exchange makes. Well, I am. But I'm going to explain how. And I'm going to do it the philosophical way. Now, I should go into a little bit of detail. Back in my heyday, when I was a younger man, this philosophical thing was kind of my thing. Before I decided to then throw the whole lot of studying in and become a market trader, and then throw that in because it turned rubbish and decided to drive a truck for a living, I was kind of on this kind of track, like, you know. So we're going to involve, there's two ways to work things out from a philosophical point of view. There's probably more if you want to take into account the mysticism, but we're going to go the two ways. Now, these ways are analytic and dialectic. Now, dialectic means we all get in a room, we all have a big chat, we all have a sort of a conversation, a heated debate, and then we all have a big row, and then the person who wins the argument, we go, oh, well, you must be right then. So that's one way of doing it. The other way is an analytic. Now, the analytic means we work it out from first principles. So we don't involve anybody else. We employ logic. We employ reason. We employ our inner senses, our kind of our axioms and axioms and all that kind of stuff, and we try and work it out from first principles. Now, you may have heard that there was a geezer kicking around. I'm not quite sure where this one's from. I think he might have been French, and he was called Descartes. Some people call him Descartes, but it's definitely spelt Descartes because I've read it. And he came up with this thing called the Cartesian principle. Now, you would have heard of the Cartesian principle. It says, I think, therefore I am. Very clever man, Descartes. He was wrong, but he got there. So what he worked out is, he said, I'm going to try and work everything out. So he says, can I rely on my eyes? No, because let's face it, you've all seen an optical illusion. You've all seen something where you thought it did happen and you played it back in the video and it happened another way. You can't rely on your senses. You can't rely on your eyes. You can't rely on your ears. You can't rely on all of your outer senses because they lie to you. Sometimes you think that, you know, you heard something and you didn't. You know, so you can't rely on all that kind of stuff. Can you rely on, so basically, it's my truck now. I'm still waiting to get loaded. I'm supposed to be loaded at 3, it's 10 to 4. He basically came down, he said, I can't trust anything. I can't trust memory, can't trust anything that I've learned. I can't trust any of my knowledge because that has been predicated on the fact that it's come through on my senses. All I can do, by the way, I'll do a timestamp. If you're bored already, I'll do a timestamp so you can get to the end of get to the chase, like, you know. Should have said that at the beginning. He says, all I can work out, all I can actually be sure of is my own existence. He says, and I know that I exist because I think. And therefore, I couldn't exist if I couldn't think unless I existed. Hence, I think, therefore I am. Doesn't actually prove your existence because you could be a figment of someone else's imagination. So it should really be thoughts, therefore it is. Doesn't quite so catchy, doesn't sell so many books, that one. So what we're going to do now, shift that all over there, and we're going to go to first principles. Now this is going to cut into the chase now, nearly 5 minutes, we're getting there. So if you want to know how much you're going to do, you work it out. Now let's go back to Tom's original statement. I was expecting £300 to £500 a day. Now let's take it for, I'm just going to take an average. Let's say that Tom thought he was going to do this in a long wheelbase. Now, if it is possible to make £300 to £500 a day on the exchange, I can make £300 a day on the exchange. On a good day, I can make £5. But to do it, you've got to get an 18-ton truck or above. So you might be talking about driving around in a 6-axle. You're talking about going distance. You're talking about tramping. You're talking about staying out. You're talking about being lucky. This is the super shiny case scenario with all your ducks in a row. If you're talking about being in a van. So let's work it out. So you go, okay, well, I don't need an operator's license. I don't need a transport manager. How easy is it to get into this? So that's the first thing you've got to consider. How easy is it to get into this? Now, if you're a barrister or a top surgeon, you can make thousands of pounds a day. But the problem is, to get to barrister or top surgeon, you've got to train for 7 years. You've got to be bright and good with your hands. So that's why they demand the money that they demand, because it's a very niche thing that they can do. Also, if you happen to be the only person in the world who can operate a particular piece of software, it might not be that tricky, but you're worth a lot of money. So if you've got a niche job, you're worth a lot of money. But we're not got niche jobs here, guys. We drive a van. We get insurance. We drive a van, you know? So if you went down a pub and you went, oh, I've joined that Courier exchange. I'm driving a van. I'm making £500 a day. And let's face it, people are very bad at keeping, particularly when they're doing well, are often very bad about keeping secrets. So the rest of them are going, £500 a day? I don't get that in a week. I'm turning my job in. I'm going to get a van. I'm going to go and make £500 a day. Before you know it, you've got loads of people out there with vans, all competing for the same job. So one goes, I'm not winning this job at £500 anymore. I'm going to bid them 490. The next guy goes, I'm going to bid 480. And that would clock down until it gets to a certain level. So that's how you know you ain't going to make £300 to £500 a day driving a van, because in short, if that was the case, everybody would be doing it. Except for the surgeons and the barristers and the geese with the software. Now, so that's coming down. So then you come down, and you think, well, what would be a reasonable amount of money? So the way you work out the reasonable amount of money is then you start going up. So you go, okay, well, obviously, there's got to be a level at the bottom like there's a level at the top. Now, if I said, someone turned around and said, I'm on that Courier exchange, I'm cracking it, I'm making a tenner a day. There you go, tenner a day. On you go, son. So let's say there's a normal wage. So let's say a normal wage, I'm going to say, take an argument here, £100 a day. £100 a day is a kind of work that you can walk into. Now, this is kind of walk into work. You need a van and a driving licence, a bit of insurance, and bang, you're ready, and the exchange, and bang, you're ready to go. So let's say that is £100, and the top mark, people will say, well, I'll be prepared to work for some people £200 a day with my van. So then you've got a level of between £100 and £200 a day. Then, of course, you've got the problem that some people out there are working, thinking they're earning the money, but they're not earning the money because what you take is not what you make. So there's a level of money coming in, and you've got to work out. This is another one I've got to do. This is for, I've got my book out here, hang on. Mark, it's coming, mate. I'll get round to it. I've got to ask a few people some questions and we'll get round to it. How much of your money do you actually take home? But what I would suggest is, logic tells me that people would be prepared to throw their jobs in and go and jump on the exchange for somewhere between £100 and £200 a day. So that's the kind of money, logically, you can expect to make on the exchange. Because if it was less than that, people wouldn't do it. And if it was more than that, everybody would do it. And if someone's telling you, all you need is a van and insurance and the CX, and by this time next year, Rodney, you're going to be a millionaire, I think you might be smelling a rat. Ain't going to happen. Now, this isn't to say that you can't make good money, because you can. I'm doing okay. I'm not a millionaire, but I'm doing okay. And I've worked my way up. I'm in this for 4.5 years now. And now I've got company and I've got trucks, but I'm still only earning the money that my truck makes, because all the other lorries are going to pay the office, rainy day money, and building the business. And that's fine. I can live with that. But what I would say is, Take everything. And this is another thing that they taught me back in my philosophical days. Question everything. You need to be sceptical about everything. If someone offers you a gift horse, the first thing you do is you go up to it, you peel the lips back, you grab its teeth, you yank it open, and you take a jolly good look down its throat. Because people lie. This is another thing. People will tell you what they want that suits them. I don't. I've always been this kind of guy. People will give you the advice that suits them. I will give you the advice that suits you, even if it doesn't suit me. Because I'm stupid and I actually believe that it makes the world a brighter place and it's kind of all about ants and we should all actually work together. But, so what I'm saying is, don't listen to anybody. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to the bloke in the pub. Don't listen to the exchange. They've got a vested interest. But if you want to know the kind of money that you're going to make on the exchange, all you've got to do is ask yourself a few questions. How many people are doing it? How many people, you know, sort of what would be the least that somebody would be prepared to turn their job in for? What would be the most that somebody would go, I'll do that for less? Someone's doing that for that kind of money, I'll do that for less. And that's where the truth lies. And you can work that one out yourself. I ain't going to tell you what it is. You can work that one out yourself. And you can't tell us, you told me I was going to be able to buy the moon by Tuesday. You work it out. And once you worked it out, and if you decide to go for it, I hope you take care, and I hope you take money.